All right, good. Hello. Well, I was going to say good morning, but good afternoon, beautiful babies at home. If it's morning, I love you just the same. All right, today we are working on decimal number lines. You are in here with Miss Hendricks' homeroom. Everybody say hello. Hello. We are recording this on Tuesday. You will do it on a Wednesday. Here we go. All right, so when we're working on decimals, y'all understand that decimals are pieces of a whole. We've talked a lot about that, okay? So if you've got a number line that has 0 to 1 and it's divided into 10 equal pieces, each piece is a tenth. So let's get that filled in. First section is 1/10. What's in between 1/10 and 3/10, Jaden? 2/10. Very good, 2/10. After 2/10 is 3/10. After 3/10, you guessed it, is 4/10. Halfway between 0 and 1 is 5/10. You're filling all this in. Ariana, what's between 5/10 and 7/10? 6. You are genius. 6 or 6/10? 6/10. Very good, 6/10. Then I've got 7/10, then 8/10, then 9/10. All right. And all that means is these decimals are fractions. This is 1/10 of the line. This is 2/10 of the line. This is 3/10 of the line. If you were to write these as fractions, they would look like this: 1/10. This is 2/10. Miss Ross, I understand this now. Good. 3/10. All right. All the way down until you would have 10/10, which would be a whole. All right. This next one looks a little bit different. It's got 5 here and 6 here. Miss Ross, there ain't 10 numbers between 5 and 6. Yes, there are 10 numbers between 5 and 6. Because if I have to figure this out, halfway between 5 and 6 would be 5 and 5/10. Does that make sense? Because that's 5 1/2, right? All right, Kato, what would go here? What's in between 5 and 5 and 2/10? You are a genius. 5 and 1/10. Then after that is 5 and 3/10. Then 5 and 4/10. See, you can divide it into 10 equal sections. All right, next, after 5 and 5/10 is 5 and 6/10. 5 and 7, 5 and 8, 5 and 9. Miss Ross, I'm starting to understand what tenths mean. Good. Okay. All right, let's fill in this one. All right, this again is between 0 and 1. So in between 0 and 1, if you divide 1 into 10 equal pieces, you're going to divide it into tenths. So this is 1/10. This one is 2/10. What is C, DJ? You are a genius, DJ. This is 3/10. This one is 4/10. Halfway between 0 and 1 is 5/10, because 5/10 is equal to half. Then 6/10, 7/10, 8/10, and of course, A is 9/10. All right, let's fill in the answers to our question. What decimal is at A? Aurora, what decimal is at A? 9/10. Very good, 9/10. I can write that as a decimal. All right, what decimal is at B, Elijah? Here is B. What decimal's there? Say it as it's written. Is it 5 or is it 5/10? Very good. Ava, what about C? What decimal is at C? Okay, but don't say 0.3. Say it as it's written. 3/10. Very good. 3/10. Write this in. What about D? Landon. What'd he say? Very good, Landon. 1/10. All righty, now we're gonna move on down here. Oh my goodness, Miss Ross, this is starting to get complicated because it's chopped up even bigger. All right. Well, first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna divide it into tenths first. So remember, I told you that if you had 1/10 and you divided it into 10, sorry, if you had 1 and you divided it into 10 equal pieces, each piece would be a tenth. So let's fill those in first. I've got 1/10, 2/10, 3/10. The next big black line is 4/10. The halfway mark is 5/10. You're doing the large black lines. Then 6/10, 7/10, then 8/10 on the large black lines and 9/10. All right, now all of those are filled in. Now I'm going to switch to a different color because I want you to understand that 1/10 is the same as 10 out of 100. So put a 10 there. 2/10 is the same as 20 out of 100, ain't it? 3/10 is the same as 30 out of 100. 4/10 is the same as 40 out of 100. 5/10 is the same as 50 out of 100. 6/10 is the same as 60 out of 100. 7/10 is the same as 70. 8/10 is the same as 80. 9/10 is the same as 90 out of 100. Okay, so now that I've already turned them into hundredths, then it's very easy to figure out the numbers that are in between. So in between 0 and 10 is 5 hundredths. In between 10 hundredths and 20 hundredths is 15 hundredths. Elise, what's in between 20 hundredths and 30 hundredths? Very good. We're going to write that in right here on the small black line. In between 20 hundredths and 30 hundredths is 25 hundredths. Then in between 30 hundredths and 40 hundredths is 35. DJ, what's between 40 hundredths and 50 hundredths? Very good, DJ, 45 hundredths. So just write it as a decimal. Then between 50 hundredths and 60 hundredths is 55. Mo, between 60 hundredths and 70 hundredths, what number's in there? 65 hundredths, good. Then between 70 and 80 is 75. Between 80 and 90 is 85. And what about between 90 and 1 whole? Jaden? Very good. Say it as it's supposed to be said. Very good. I love you so much. Thank you for being patient. Cool. Does that kind of make a little bit of sense? Okay, good. All right, so let's look at the next one. So label all the big black lines with the tenths. 2/10, 3/10, 4/10, 5/10, 6/10. Big black lines get the tenths places. 7/10, 8/10. And then this is 9/10. All right, all my big black lines are labeled because I took 1 and I divided it into 10 equal pieces, and each piece is a tenth. Then over top of that, up here, I'm going to put the other ones. So this is 5 hundredths. But first, I'm going to go through here and put zeros on the back of all of these, so it's very easy to tell where my numbers go. Okay. All right. So what's in between 10 hundredths and 20 hundredths, Abby? Very good. I'm going to write that right up here. Abby, what's between 20 hundredths and 30 hundredths? Very good. Ariana, what's between 40 hundredths and 50 hundredths? Very good. I'm going to write it right up here. Ava, what's between 50 and 60 hundredths? Very good. Nash, what's between 60 hundredths and 70 hundredths? Very good, Nash. All right, what's between 70 and 80? Elijah. What's between 70 hundredths and 80 hundredths? Very good, 75 hundredths. Excellent. And then what's between 90 hundredths and 1 whole, Mo? Very good, 95 hundredths. Good. Then you're going to fill in your A, B, C, D. A, what decimal is at A, Kato? That's a little bit over here. What's at? Very good, but Kato, I want you to say it as a decimal. 75 hundredths. Very good. All right, Kato, you're up again. What is B at? How do I say that number? The 5, is it in the 10th place or in the hundredths? Very good. That is 5 hundredths. What about C? Evan. What number is it, C? 45 is actually a little bit to the right. Where's C at? Very good. 40 hundredths. And what about D, Evan? Very good. 15 hundredths. Awesome. Yay. All right, cool. Miss Ross, this is too easy. I know. Miss Ross, it should be a crime how easy this is. I know. All right, so, but this one gets a little tricky because look, guys, this is 3 and this is 5. All right. So let's just take it easy. Landon, what number is immediately directly in the middle between 3 and 5? Good, right? 4 right there. Oh, Miss Ross, that's too easy. I know. All right. Now we've got 10 spaces between 3 and 4. So let's just fill them in. This is 3 and 1/10. This is 3 and 2/10. 3 and 3/10. 3 and 4/10. 3 and 5/10. 3 and 6. 3 and 7. 3 and 8. 3 and 9. That is what is in between 3 and 4. All right, then I'm going to come here. This one is 4 and 1/10, 4 and 2, 4 and 3/10, 4 and 4/10, 4 and 5, 4 and 6, 4 and 7, 4 and 8/10, 4 and 9/10. And that's what's in between 4 and 5. Okay, now Miss Ross, I am so confused now, but you're not, because I'm going to help you. Now you have to tell me some numbers that are between 2 and 3/10 and 2 and 4/10. And Landon, are you saying to yourself right now, there are no numbers between 2 and 3/10 and 2 and 4/10, or are you thinking you've got a solution? Tell me your solution. Yes, Landon. Yes. Come down here and you are going to put a 0 on the back of 2 and 3/10. Then you're going to come down here and you're going to put a 0 on the back of 2 and 4/10. Now, is it super easy to figure out what 10 numbers are in between the two? Yeah. Okay. So this is 2 and 31 hundredths. This is 2 and 32 hundredths. This is 2 and 33 hundredths. 2 and 34 hundredths. 2 and 35 hundredths. 2 and 36. 2 and 37. 2 and 38. 2 and 39 hundredths. And it's very easy. So if you see two numbers and you don't think there's any numbers in between them, slap some zeros on the back. Aurora, does that make sense? All right, excellent. All right, guys at home, we love you. Ciao, amores.